everyone? Welcome back to the channel this week. Hope you liked a little refreshing, different flavor last week, rescuing that turtle and taking you to go see Lucas at NCHS. This week we're getting back onto snakes, getting back on track, and boy do I have a doozy for you because we are going to talk cannibal snakes. And no, I'm not talking about my cribos that tried to eat each other. Completely different species. So let's get into it. Many of y'all who've been watching this channel for a long time know a few years ago when I first tried to breed my cribo female to my male, things did not go so well initially. Of course, everything resolved itself and she gave me a good clutch of eggs, which I proceeded to ruin via some bad information, but that's a whole nother story. I've shown photos. The male grabbed her by the head and tried to kill and eat her. She managed to survive by grabbing his lower jaw. They were stuck at a deadlock until I got them. My wife found them, the whole nine. So it wasn't that bad, all things considered. Female took the brunt of it, but she's bright as rain, was eaten a few days later. And it's pretty normal and known that these snakes are generalist feeders, or also considered cannibal feeders because they will predate upon other snakes. So they're not the only species, but it's very common to hear about that with dry markon. Well, you guys know about my love for Apodora. I've got those bottom three enclosures there with my, let's see, this one up here has Apollo, named after my good buddy Apollo who passed away in a car crash. Rest in peace, brother. This is a 4-year-old long-term captive male that I got as a little baby. He's now eating medium large rats, 6 feet long or so. And yeah, he's doing really well. And then I have my captive born and bred pair. You can actually see the female down there, and they're not as big as all the maximum size limits you read online say they are. I think that pair is maybe 9-10 feet, maybe a little more. So ideally they'll get bigger enclosures soon down the line, but they're 7 years old. They're comfortable, and I'm going to be breeding them this year. Well, much like the cribos, I started pairing them, and everything was good at first. And then I woke up one morning and saw them in a big huge ball and knew exactly what was going on. The female had grabbed him, so I calmly opened the door, pulled him out, and proceeded to lightly pat her on the head, and she let him go and split him up, and he was no worse for wear, and everything's good. I caught it real early. I believe it was a flinch when the lights came on and he was passing. They had been locking up the night before. Why I think it was all my fault is I'm too early. I speak with Ryan Young and a few other people who work at trying to breed these, and I should have known better too. I've seen my male pace in the spring, usually around March or April, when she must be cycling, so pairing end of January is probably way too soon. But all's well that ends well. He's got no marks on him, and yeah, they gave me a great reminder of all the different variables going on. So right now she and he are getting fed quite heavily, so neither of them are extra hungry. They had a little month or so off of food in the winter, and now they're back on the food game, and that was my choice, not theirs. They wanted food, trust me. But I decided to give them a little pseudo winter, and so hoping that plus a rapid intake of food, I'm hoping to see the male start pacing again in April, which would hopefully then indicate that she is cycling. So yeah, I'm into cannibal snakes, I guess. Makes it more fun, makes it more challenging. I'm a firm believer in working with species that need more people working in them, not oversaturated species. I have my bread and butter with my Morelia, but I have my little side projects that I love, and those who've been paying attention to me and what I'm doing for a long time know that Apodora are definitely high up on that list of unique oddball species that I love. It just so happens that they like to eat other snakes from time to time. So with that said, now would be a great time to introduce you to the newest family member. I posted online a rather cryptic and blank image of this enclosure set up saying welcoming a new member to the family. So I'm sure it's no surprise for y'all to hear that brought in another Apodora. So let's take a look. Say hi. Alrighty, so please let me introduce to you the newest member of the Riley's Reptiles family, Fluffy. And Fluffy here is a female Apodora papuana, commonly known as the Papuan python. And she is about 13 feet long or so, and thicker around than a soda can by a long shot. I don't know how much she weighs. Maybe one day we'll weigh her. I do have a scale, I could do that, but I'd say she probably weighs 15-20 pounds in there, maybe more. And as with my other Apodora, they are very gentle snakes, especially when out of the enclosure. I always use a hook when approaching them inside the enclosure, just in case. They have a pretty hefty punch to them. These are the pound for pound strongest pythons in the world. For whatever reason, they're just denser and stronger and more muscular than other species of python. But as you can see, she's a big sweetheart. She comes to me via Aaron Solano, who is local to me. And he's had some life challenges that force him to reduce his animal population, which is totally understandable. It happens to the best of us. And I'm very happy to welcome this beautiful lady into my home. His son named her Fluffy, so for Aaron and his boy, we're gonna keep Fluffy's name. So when I first fell in love with Apodora, I would say that was probably 2014, 2013. Todd Dyer showed me my first Apodora. He took me to the Psychotic Exotics warehouse, was showing me all the cool stuff, and pulled out his big female, and without any warning draped her across my shoulder. And her head was down here. She was deep in shed. She kind of cocked her head, took a huge exhale, and I saw her eye turn in the socket to face me, and I was hooked. I had never seen these before. I didn't know anything about them, but I was instantly hooked with the color. I'm a big fan of patternless stuff amongst everything. I mean, don't get me wrong, carpet pythons are known for their variable pattern, but patternless stuff is amazing, and these animals like to fire up and down. They sort of two-tone, as you can see. They have like a lateral line where the two colors seem to split, but they have these modes where they're sort of like in this really dark foresty sort of mode, or they're really fired up and just electric green and these beautiful chrome heads. The skin underneath all the scales is black, so when they're really fired up, it shows off very nicely. What I've come to find is that a lot of the snakes, geckos, pythons, things like that from Papua New Guinea, they seem to fire up and change color, certain modes or feelings or whatever's going on. I'm not sure we even understand it, but this girl is a big, powerful girl. Really happy to have her. She was with Aaron for some time, so she is what we refer to as a long-term captive, which meant that she was at one point an imported animal. And these guys do come in with some war wounds as imports. That's just part of the game. There's a lot of things that want to eat little snakes out there in Papua New Guinea, and it's not as well researched as some of the other places. So they have to worry about, I would imagine, birds, other snakes, small mammals, things like that. And so most imports come in with their fair share of bite marks, scars, and war wounds. So this girl, all things considered, has very few blemishes, but I've seen some gnarly ones before. Doesn't change the fact that I love her and she's awesome, and I'm really stoked to have her. This now puts my population at 2.2, which means I have 2 males and 2 females. Of that group, 1.1, so one pair, is actually this long-term captive style, so including my little 4-year-old Apollo. The other pair is a 2017 US captive born and bred pair, which is actually a pretty rare thing. Kevin Wilninski produced this species twice in captivity, I believe, up in Rhode Island. And my pair comes from him by way of Rob Stone when he needed to reduce his number of animals as well. And big stuff tends to go first because it frees up the most space. So, dream come true. I got my 4.4 of these Cannibal Snakes, and I love them. Big, gentle giants. Hopefully I can keep them well fed and me keep them well read so I don't have any more accidents like I did recently. And we can time any breeding cycling right and hopefully never lose a single one. But there are people who have multiple males in preparation for that, and it is very widely documented that if you're not careful, you could wake up one morning with a very huge female and no male. So we're gonna do our best to avoid that here. All right, well, I'm gonna wrap up. Much love to my wonderful, wonderful sponsors, Heli Guy Serpents and Reptiles Express, premiumcrickets.com. Go check them out. I'll have all their information below as usual. Don't forget to support USARK and USARK Florida. Come join the Patreon. I'm under there on Riley Jimison. Go check out the website, Riley'sReptiles.com is up and running, already selling snakes off of it. And last but not least, much love to the patrons. Y'all are amazing. Thank you for everything, keeping me busy, keeping me working. See you all in the Zoom meetings. Join up if you want to join this cool family, and I'll catch you all next week. Later.